to climb.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Conditioned for Success, Mindset of a Millionaire. I know it's been a bit, it's New Year, we're after the holidays. So gonna jump into things a little bit. Been reviewing the past few episodes since we last had this one-on-one with you guys. And it just has me thinking on like, especially with the new year, how do we go into conditioning our mindset for the success that we want to see? I mean, so many people make their New Year's resolutions, and by the second or third Friday of January, it's like over half of people quit. And it's like, then what was the point of the resolution if you just quit so soon, right? And reviewing back on what our recent guests have been sharing is Jeremy saying on how he just pushed through it, just when he's feeling like not going to the gym the next day, he sets everything out. And so it's like, well, what are you setting out in your year? What are you setting up for yourself throughout the year, so that way that you're going to push through everything? Or David talking about on how his hardships that he faced on things, but it's by healing himself first, by reflecting, by relaxing, laying down, listening to music. I mentioned laying in the tub, listening to music, or following motivational stuff like this and podcasts. It is a thing that's Jim Rohn talked about, where when you motivation is like bathing. You do it every day, or you should be doing it every day. And it's kind of thinking, if you went a day without showering or bathing, maybe you can let go a day. If you went a week or a month, or for God forbid a year, it's going to start feeling like you're going to, how will you physically feel? A little, dirty, sweaty, feely, mucky, right? Well, how do you think your mind is if you've gone a day, a week, a month, a year without some type of motivation? That's why we try to make these podcasts on weekly basis. Is, now that we're past the holidays and we're in the new year, we should be getting back on track of things. And even then, what happens when hiccups happen, right? Where, within our first episode or two, YouTube had gone down, or Amazon services or whatever. Either way, hiccups. And then this, year, then YouTube was not allowing us to upload videos. And so if you're following our Instagram or Facebook, you'll see some of the reels for the episodes before the episodes actually were able to air because of YouTube's there. And it's like, well, how do you handle that stuff? You just take it as it goes, and that's what, Deanna was talking about, Jeremy had mentioned, and it's this kind of a thing I heard Tony Robbins talk about, where he says there's pattern recognition, pattern implementation, and pattern creation in the forms of steps of how you can do things. And just even pattern recognition, I'm looking at, like, well, what patterns are we recognizing? And even to share a bit on like my story of things, is you've heard so many others, I realized it's like, well, I haven't really talked too much on mine. And so how this all started, my whole journey into positivity, personal development, motivation, was that years ago, easily, somewhere around 10 years ago. I can't even remember the time at this point, but I heard this YouTube video, and of course it says it was the best motivation speech, ever. And it's like, well, yeah, at that time. And then there's part two. Either way, right. And I heard a couple things in there, stuff like, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. That a lot of you want success, but you don't want to, you don't want success as bad as you want to sleep. You don't want success as bad as you want to party. You don't want success as bad as you want to eat. And I'm telling you, when you want success as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful. And I'm like, man, that's so profound. Who's saying it? Because it's just the audio in the background. So I had to look that up. Found out it was Eric Thomas. Well, then he's talking about Les Brown. And so I started listening to Les Brown, and he was talking about, Booker T. Washington and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. So I go listen to them. And then, and then Tony Robbins is popping up in my feed because he was a student of Jim Rohn, and so on and so forth. It became this whole journey of like, the algorithm can work for you in these things. It can also work against you. And I say all this to say, it's like, well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram and you're looking up, negative stuff, or even if you're reacting to it, the algorithms are actually set, even if you watch, you spend more time on something. So when you're scrolling, if you stop at a post, the longer you are on that post, the algorithm's realizing, like, oh, this caught your attention. Let's send them more of this. That's kind of scary that it's tracking all that. But I say this to tell you, if you're wanting to condition your mind for success, you got to consider, what is it that you're looking at? What is it you're looking for? And I've read a couple posts that said, like, oh, I only see this or this, in the world or whatever. Why is it so hard for a good job or good man or good woman to come up? It's like, well, are you looking for that though? I mean, genuinely, because Tony Robbins has this whole thing of where he goes, look around the room for red, 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 look for red, look red, look red. All right, everyone look for red. All right, now close your eyes. All right, now tell me everything you saw that was brown. And it's like, you weren't looking for brown, you were looking for red. So how much brown did you see? Then if you look around the room again, looking for brown, how often you find more brown than you did red the first, in the first time kind of thing. And it's just this thing where you will find what you are looking for. And I know we don't consciously think of it, but it's this mindset that we have that when we look for negativity or we think of negativity, it fuels that much more. When we're thinking, oh, this job again, I got to go back to this. Basically, when continually being ungrateful, then it kind of brings up more, you see more things to be ungrateful for. But when you start thinking about being grateful, then you see more things to be grateful for. And this was what David was talking about, right? Where, be grateful for this, for the air in our lungs, for being able to get up, be able to walk. And it's the little things, I've posted, at times about like, I enjoy the little luxuries in life, the heated seats in my car, the remote start, the ability to take hot baths or showers, because, we take this stuff a little bit for granted. I mean, the heated seats and the remote start, maybe not so much because depending upon the car you got. But, when's the last time you were grateful to be able to take a hot shower or bath in a well-lit, warm home? If you're in the Midwest and during wintertime, it's getting really cold out there. And there's a lot of people that they don't have that, if whether it's their power is out or they're behind on their gas bill or they're homeless, right? And it's just like, so appreciate what we have. That's why I mentioned in Jeremy's episode of be grateful for all that you have, but never settle for less than all that you dream. Right. And like that. And both of us are fans of Les Brown. I did take a couple notes on things, where it's because I wanted to touch on a couple of points. But Deanna talking about like, things don't go according to plan, but her business, when she became passionate about it when it became her business, not just husband's. And so with your life, are you living it for you or are you living for someone else? Are you following your dreams or somebody else's dreams? If you're in college right now or high school or further on, or whatever career you're in, is that what you wanted or is that what you just went along with because of mom and dad said or because society said that pays good money? Or what's the reason why you're doing what you're doing, right? Will Smith has a video from a movie clip from was it trying to think of the name of the movie right now. It's blanking on me. Collateral Beauty. There we go. And but in he says it's like, what is your why? Why did you get out of bed? Why did you eat what you ate? Why did you wear what you wear? Why did you come here? And I think we should all kind of think of that at any time or anywhere, not just jobs, not just school, but just in life. Like, why are you here right now? Hopefully you're listening to this podcast because you're looking for something to add value to your life, to motivate you, to inspire you, to condition yourself for success. Yes, I'll be dropping that over and over again because that's the whole concept of this, right? But going into my journey, the reason I started this is, why am I here is for me. Whether anybody's listening to these episodes or not, I will still continue to do them because it's something that I am learning and facing my own struggles with. Because everyone sees, oh, but you're the motivational speaker, you're all positive and happy-go-lucky. And it's like, no, that's what you see. That's what's put on all the time. But we don't see 24 hours a day. There are times where I'm dealing with bouts of depression or feeling like I'm not doing enough to fuel my team, my business, or this podcast even. Because it's just this inner reflection of realizing, could I be doing more? Could I be providing more? And, there's certain hardships that happen in life and time and things that I won't, bear down the details of things. Because like I said, well, if you focus on that, we'll go down that rabbit hole. Steve Harvey talks about that every day in your wake up, well, this is actually goes both in Jim Rohn and Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey says you got a positive foreman, like you got a factory of positivity and you got a factory of negativity. And every morning you have the foreman of the positive factory and the foreman of the negative factory fighting for your attention. And as soon as you think, oh, today's going to be a great day, sure, then he's being sarcastic, it's going to be a bad day, negativity, start pumping thoughts. Or, hey, today's going to be an awesome day. He's positive factory, start processing. it's also known as the two wolves story. You know, you have the negative wolf and the positive wolf in your mind. Which one eats? The one you feed. Yeah. And Jim Rona talked about where he's like that, life is like your coffee, right? What if somebody drops sugar in your coffee? You're good. What if somebody drops strychnine, poison, in your coffee? Well, you'd be dead. What if your best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? Well, you'd be dead. What if your worst enemy drops in the sugar? You'd be okay. It doesn't matter who's bringing you the bad stuff. It'll still have the same effect on your bank account. So, lesson number one, watch your coffee. Basically, stand guard at the door of your mind, for it's a mental factory that you must protect and watch on what goes into it, what you feed it. And so, just like what you look at what you feed your body and what comes out, right? You eat trash, you're gonna, probably look. I don't want to say like trash, but you're not gonna be looking that, you're gonna be looking like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Cruise, six pack abs, and all this and that, right? Probably also won't feel so great. Well, the same thing happens mentally. If you feed your mind negative things over and over again, you're not going to be feeling so, positive. And it's very difficult to have a positive life with a negative mindset. So we're here to work with helping you shift that. But it's also for me personally, interviewing these people reminds me of, to remind myself that yes, if I think positive, maybe more positive, it's not just thinking though, right? It's not just, oh, I'm just gonna think positive every day and smile, like in 10 Things I Hate About You. It's like, hey, I don't want to hear about that negative attitude. They're like, we're screwed. It's like saying it with a more upbeat was funny for the movie, but it's in real life, it's like, no, seriously, take it in a way of what is it that you have to look at that's positive? Sure, you could be screwed. You could have just lost your job. The bills are behind, and there's a lot of the self depreciation, like Deanna was talking about, that's going through your 20s, of maybe you're not good enough. And you can think of all those things and you can make a list as long as your arm and keep on going because there's never going to be a stop, button at, well, how many bad things can you say about yourself? How many bad things? It doesn't, we can go down that line for so long that you can spend your whole life thinking of yourself as the victim of, oh, if only this, if only that. And yes, you reach setbacks. There's Willie Jolly that will tell you a setback is a setup for a comeback. I say that again. A setback is a setup for a comeback. That's Willie Jolly's quote. And Jeremy mentioned Les Brown's about you have greatness within you. You have something special. That was told to Les Brown by his teacher, Mr. Washington, in back when he was in high school. And it wasn't even a high school teacher of one of his classes. It was just somebody. It was a teacher that he came across while at school. And one of the first things that teacher taught Les Brown, which has created what Les has become all these years later, is never let someone else's opinion of you become your reality. I'll say that one again for you. Never let someone else's opinion of you become your reality. Right? How many times are we looking at things in life and we're thinking about how will other people think of me for doing this? I wear this outfit. Well, people think I'm cool. People think I'm ugly. Well, people think I'm sexy. Whatever. It's like, what do you think of you? Does it matter what they think? Are you living your life for them or you? And they found that when you send, I know I'm speaking more towards the high schools and colleges because I mean we're kind of going, we're going into that next semester of things, but it's also when you walk into a room, there was a study done where high school or not, they'll send you in one crazy looking outfit into the room, and they surveyed afterwards, and they find like 70 to 80% of people don't even remember what you were wearing or pay any attention to it, and like the other 20% barely remember. And it's really comes down to it's like because most people, literally that 70 to 80%, isn't looking at what you're wearing or what you're doing or what's going on in your life. They're so consumed in what's going on in their own. They're caught up in their own insecurities. They're not thinking about what your insecurities are. So just be you for you and don't worry about what they're doing. Ladies, how many of you, when people say, well, why do you dress up? Why do you put makeup on? Why do you do this and that? It's like, who are you putting makeup on for? Like you're already in a relationship or you're already married, already this and that. And it's like, what do you tell them? I don't put makeup on for them. I put it on for me. Right. Or I don't dress up for them. I dress up for me. It's like, well, if that's how we're dealing with apparel, why aren't we looking at that with everything? It's like, I don't work that job because my parents told me to. I work that job because I wanted it to. I have a passion for that field. You know, I'm not going to this event because, of appearances or to prove to other people. I'm going there because I want to go, right? Living that want to life, not a have to life. So, I mean, what does this all come down to, right? Is you're making your new year goals. Maybe you've already quit on them. Okay, then remake them. See, I believe the whole New Year's resolutions is a little bit arbitrary, right? Because first off, well, what new year are you following? Are you following the Gregorian calendar? Are you following the lunar calendar and the Chinese calendar that bases more off the lunar calendar? Are you following your birthday calendar since, technically whatever day that you were born is really the start of your year, right? You can just make up a calendar. Yeah, it's a thing of we don't why focus on January 1, right? Why not just every day you wake up say today's a new day. What's my goals for today? Don't worry about the next 12 months or the next 12 weeks even. Just what about the next 12 to 24 hours? You woke up, it's 9 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever. What are you doing? What are you focusing on accomplishing between that time that you awake and that time you go to sleep? And if you just focus on those mini goals, and then those daily goals become weekly goals, and weekly goals become monthly goals, and monthly goals become yearly goals, then it's as a friend of mine would always say, as a by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch it's a cinch. Yeah. As like, why are you going to take on this whole year resolution, right? Like, I'm going to make a resolution for the whole 12 months, whole 365 days. And then after about 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I'll just quit. You know what? Listen, I'll just start again next year. It's like, no, start again tomorrow. If you messed up today, start again tomorrow. And this is that whole thing, whether it's spinning plates or let me check my notes on what else I had from Dave is if you feel late or left behind, keep going, keep moving forward, as Walt Disney was taught or did teach. It's kind of hard to tell on history of whether he was the one who came up with the quote or if he was the one who taught the quote and then made it popular. But it is the thing of keep moving forward. Yeah. As like even Martin Luther King Jr. talked about with, if you, it's like whether walking or crawling or running, right? Like walk, let's go, and it's like keep moving forward. And I understand that's difficult to really think about, but even Rocky talks about it, right? Life's not about how hard you get hit, but it's about how hard you can get hit and get back up, right? To keep on going, to keep on moving, to keep on fighting. Life is a constant battle and fight with not even the outside, just the inside. You know, Les Brown talked about that too, right? That most people, it's not about what they're eating, but about what's eating them. Now, yes, you should have a good diet on things, but I believe that diet shouldn't be just, you know, food. I believe it should also be mental information. What are you feeding your emotions? What are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your spirit? Depending upon how you are, whether you're, all about the gym and the physical, or you're focused on the spiritual, or you're focused on being the parent, right? We got the past 3 episodes to kind of touch on each one of them, but it's this thing. It's like, well, what are you striving for? What are you trying to build success in? You don't have to have with understand with this podcast, we're not talking about building successful in business only, right? It's also about personal development. So whether you're in the Ambit business or another network marketing company or traditional brick and mortar business or anything else, there's tons of different businesses, or none of them at all, this can be for you, because it's not just about, well, how do I build a successful business, because otherwise it'd be condition your business for success. No, this is condition your mind for success, to help you build and grow and develop your own personal mind and dare I say soul and spirit for the success that you want in life. And that's why I've asked many guests about, well, what do you define as success? Because I want that to be a question that you ask yourself. What do you define as success for you? Don't worry about maybe, some people think, oh, it's having $1 million. But as we heard Frank talk about, it's like, no, it's just about, is he a good man? Is he a good dad? Is what success means to him? And I can go across all the others on stuff they had said, but it still comes down to you though. what does success mean to you? And when you look at your life, do you feel that you've achieved success? And if not, well, then what are you doing to change it? You know, there's David mentioned on how, when we have anxiety, it's because we fear the future. When we have depression, it's because we're thinking about the past, you know, and it's this thing of people fear failure, but failure is part of the process. Yeah. Jeremy talks about trust the process. David was saying not just trust, but love the process, right? Because trust is love. Um, and that we struggle today, but we can, that your struggles today can be an inspiration for others only if you come out of it on the other side. If you struggle with something today and you let it keep you down, I forget who it was that was saying it. Um, yeah, I can't think of the person who was speaking it, but they said that when you get knocked down, you know, it's okay to be knocked down, right? And I mean, even Kayla Shears had mentioned about how, rest to work, don't work to rest, right? Like when you're feeling down, well, stay down, take the day. But the thing comes to it where if you're there, if you're moping in bed because you had a hard day yesterday, I feel you, understand, I've been there. If you're doing it 2 days later, 3 days later, a week later, it's like, all right, now you got to get out of bed. Because listen, you mourned or you wallowed or you self pitied for a while, whatever. But at some point, you got to get out of that tub of self pity. You got to stop playing the victim. You got to get up, because I mean, imagine sitting in the tub, not bathing, just sulking in the muck and dirt and all this stuff, and you're just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, like your fingers start to prune, right? From it's like you got to get up, you got to get out. Let's go. Tony Robbins teach about how motion and emotion are connected, right? And then about how where focus goes, energy flows. Well, if you focus on the negativity, it's like, yeah, we give you the day or the 3 days to think about all that negative stuff and mourn it out and go over it. And find, there is a time to mourn if you've experienced loss. There is a time to cry and be sad if you've experienced loss in a relationship or job or any other thing like that. But that also is followed by, just like there's 4 seasons. There's time for winter, time to hibernate, time to slow down, and then there's spring. So maybe your New Year's resolution gets a little slowed down because you're like, oh, it's winter, it's cold, I can't work out every day, it's too cold out there. Okay, well, wait till spring. Make the new year March 1st. Go out there. Hey, it's now sunny and shiny and 60, 70 degrees, whatever. Let's go for your run now. And I know a lot of people, Zig Ziglar talked about where people will say, oh, well, it's Christmas and this and that. And then, oh, it's, it's this, and that. Like, and they'll come up with every single month or season, they'll come up with like, oh, why they can't do something. Just do it anyways, right? Push through it. Set out things so that way you're ready to go with it and focus on building your life regardless of whatever obstacles or challenges face you. This is the things that I'm getting takeaways from the episodes. Hopefully you're finding some of these takeaways and more from previous episodes, but it's to make things your goal, to make it your mission, and to fall in love with the process that you're wanting to build through to get to your goal, right? Everyone's going to have a different journey. We're all on our own, like different paths. Don't worry about what others are building theirs on. Focus on yours. But do know that I remember what Jeremy said, right? Success is not based on feelings, it's based on discipline. Do know that when you create that discipline and you follow that process, that you may become the inspiration for someone else. Maybe that means something for you, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But it comes to the question of, what are you living life for? Are you doing it for your parents, your older siblings, your college professor that told you wouldn't be any good, the kid in school that said you never amount to anything? I don't know. Like, do any of them matter to your life? Will any of them care? Let's say, your high school teacher told you, oh, you'll never make it. And then you go and you prove him wrong and you become a millionaire and rich, powerful, and all this. And then you go back to him and say, see, I made it. And it'll be like, oh, yeah, oh, I remember you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were that kid. Maybe you're in the big school, right? You were one student of 4,000 students. Or, out of all the thousands of students that teacher had, will he remember you? And let's say he does. Will he care? It's like, I made it. I proved you wrong. It's like, okay. So what? Doesn't like big deal that you proved them wrong, or you living for your kids, right? Or the next generation to inspire them to, you want to leave a legacy behind. Then what are you doing today to build that? Or you just maybe want to do truly live for yourself and say, I want to live my life for me because it is my life. And I know we talk about the YOLO of you only live once, and it's my body, my choices, I live for me. But how often, while we say that, how often are we really doing it? Because again, when you're going to your job, are you doing it for you? Is that the job you wanted? Is that the job you love? Is that your passion? Or are you just doing it because, well, it pays the bills? Like, okay, well, what's your passion? When were you going to get back to it? How about if your New Year's resolution is to get back to being the one that follows your dreams, the version of yourself that follows your dreams? And I know a lot of people say, like, oh, I want to get back to being this or that. It's like, well, we're constantly changing, So I look at I've thought about being like that too, where I want to get back to how I was when I was 20 or back to how I was when I was 25. It's like, yeah, but you're continually growing, so you can never truly go backwards to those times. The Doctor Who with Matt Smith's when Matt Smith plays Doctor Who, he talks about his like, he's like, but you were Doctor, yes, and I always will be, and it's like you got to keep moving forward. We are all the previous versions that we used to be, but it is about, continuing to grow and become our new versions, our new selves. And I've been saying recently this year about how you upgrade your computer or your phone from a 2020 version to 2021, 2022, et cetera, et cetera. Well, when was the last time that you upgraded yourself from last year to this year? Or from, like, are you still running on that 2020 software in your brain? It's fear for COVID and all this and that, and can't go outside because it's too scary out there in the world. Or have you upgraded yourself to, oh, it's 2026. Let me download some new software, some new thoughts. Let's upgrade myself to being a new version, so that way I can grow and succeed and have more in my life, in my spirit, in my mind, to have this level of success that I want, to be able to run these programs on this higher, speeds. Because I mean, can you imagine having a computer right now that's running on Windows 98 or Windows 95? For those that are too young to understand that, Windows Vista, or I don't know what else was newer than that. Can you imagine having a flip phone in today's world? It could still work, but it's like you're working on obsolete stuff. Well, that's how your mind is. You're working on patterns, brain patterns, mental patterns, mindsets that's old, that's obsolete, that's out of date. It's time to update and upgrade, right? To level up. So this is something I'm still working on. I work on it every day. Some days more than others, because some days I just feel like I can't get out of bed. So if you're feeling in those ways, know that I'm there with you. I'm sure, yeah, I struggle too at times, but it's not about our struggles. It's not about how hard you can get hit and get down. It's about how you get back up and keep on going. So if you're feeling down today and you need a day, all right, take the day. But tomorrow, it's a new day. And I hope that you'll get up and you'll rise and you'll be that rising star, because it is, as Les Brown says, as Jeremy was saying, as I truly believe, you have greatness within you. You have something special. And it would be a disservice to the world if you didn't fully touch into your full potential, to tap into your full potential and share with the world the best version of yourself. We'll see you next time on another episode of Condition for Success. Remember, you are the one for success, building that mindset of a millionaire one step at a time. Start the clock, the race is on.